So, the State of the Union. It's supposed to be this big report card on the nation's health, right? A vision for the future? But what if it's become something else entirely? Tonight we're going to look at the SOTU not as a policy document, but as a performance, a masterclass in political theater, all through the sharp analysis of commentator Tom Bilyeu.
And this whole analysis really kicks off with one powerful feeling, just disappointment. Bilyeu watched the entire speech, and he was hoping for a moment that would bring people together, something inspirational. Instead, what he felt was hollow, which really set the stage for a much more critical look at the whole event. So Bilyeu paints this really stark picture. He thinks back to the great speeches from the past, the JFK moments that stick to our ribs, the ones that actually get woven into the national story. That, he argues, has been totally replaced by something very different. A show that's really just designed to fire up your own base and score cheap points against the other side. And that gets us right to the heart of his argument. The entire event was less about governing and way more about performance. It was, in his words, pure cinema, a spectacle designed for one thing: maximum effect. And Bilyeu throws out a pretty serious warning about this whole approach. He says that, yeah, this strategy of constant opposition is powerful. It definitely gets people fired up. But it's also incredibly corrosive. It's like a dark side tactic, and it's doing damage to the country in the long run.
So what you're really seeing, then, is this battle where it seems like both sides are more interested in winning the story than, actually solving problems. It becomes a fight for who controls the narrative, and the American people are just kind of caught in the middle of this political tug-of-war.
Okay, so maybe the best example of this political theater came in a moment that Bilyeu calls a perfectly set and perfectly executed trap.
And here's the playbook. It's brilliant in how simple it is, really. It's a brutal, three-step move designed to corner your opponents, live on national TV, where they have absolutely no good way out.
Okay, so this was the bait. The question is framed in a way that sounds so obvious. Of course the government should protect its citizens, but in today's political climate, if you agree, you're seen as aligning with the speaker. It forces this impossible split-second choice.
And well, the opposition walked right into it. By staying in their seats to show they disagreed with the administration's immigration policies, they handed the president the exact visual he was hoping for. It's a powerful, ready-made clip for a campaign ad, showing them refusing to stand for American citizens.
Now, this fight for perception, it wasn't just about these clever traps. It was also front and center when they talked about the one thing that hits home for literally everyone: the economy.
And this right here, this shows the huge disconnect perfectly. On one hand, you have the official White House story of a golden age. But on the other hand, you have the actual reality from most Americans who are saying, hey, this economy just isn't working for me personally.
And you can actually put a number on that feeling. Gallup's Economic Confidence Index, it runs on a scale from -100 to +100, is sitting at -33. That's not just a little low, that's deep in negative territory. It means way more people are feeling pessimistic than optimistic about where things are headed. So what's with the disconnect? Well, Bilyeu points to what he calls a grotesquely K-shaped economy. Think about the letter K. The top arm is going up. That's the stock market, asset owners, they're doing great. But the bottom arm is going down or is just stuck, and that's a lot of working people. This, he says, is the core reality that the speech just completely ignored.
So when you put all this together, you start to see a really clear playbook for how modern politics works, where what things look like is often way more important than what they are.
And according to Bilyeu, the game itself has just completely changed. It's not about giving you complex cause and effect explanations anymore. It's about creating a simple, repeatable feeling, and then just hammering that feeling home over and over, whether it's accurate or not.
So this modern playbook, it's all about controlling the narrative, right? You give your team simple lines to repeat. You make sure your story is memorable, maybe even more so than it is accurate. You just ignore the pain people are feeling. And, above all else, in this YouTube age we live in, you just can't be boring.
And when you take a step back, all of this points to what Bilyeu sees as the biggest problem of all, a real crisis of leadership in the country.
His argument is that we've lost that kind of leadership that gives us a shared mission. We're missing that leader who can paint a picture of a better future and actually guide us through the hard times to get there, inspiring us to work together, even when it's tough.
But, it's easy to just blame the politicians. Bilyeu kind of turns the mirror back on all of us, arguing that leaders are really just summoned by the people they lead. So, in a way, the divisive, theatrical politics we're seeing, maybe it's just a reflection of where we are as a society.
And that leaves us with this huge, critical question at the end of it all.
If politics isn't really about policy anymore, but it's become this all-out war between competing stories, can we ever hope to find a common narrative again? A shared us? Or are we just stuck in our own separate realities, basically being entertained by the fight?